Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike from Better Me, and I'm really excited to be back with you guys today because today I want to talk about 5 pillars that are essential to both my companies. And I use these 5 pillars in both my companies because I really think it's super essential to have a strong foundation for your business. And why is that? Because usually what happens is, in my experience with the companies that I've worked for, usually they'll throw money at a problem before trying to figure out intrinsically like what's going on inside the company from the inside out, and figuring out what's going on with their foundation to kind of make things crumble, right? So if you have a large budget project and it's not coming in on time, and maybe your clients are leaving and you're not sure why, really I attribute those things to one of these 5 things or more than one of these 5 things. So I believe that the answer to your company's issues is attributable to at least one of these 5 things. And I can say that if one of these 5 things is out of balance, then something inside your company is going to be out of balance. Whether it's a project not coming in on time, whether it's a project not coming in on budget, whether it's clients that are leaving, employees that are leaving, whether it's you're not making enough revenue, there's too much expenses. I believe that all of those things can be attributable to one or more of these things up here today. So I'm going to go over these really quick. I'm going to do a deep dive in these later, kind of as we go through the channel. But for today, I'm just going to do a high level just to kind of teach you guys a little bit about how I use these 5 pillars in my own businesses. So the first one is health. So when I say health, I'm talking about health of the individual, not health of the organization, because the health of the individuals together is really the health of the organization. So when I say health of individual, I say, well, how does that individual treat his or herself? Does the individual eat breakfast in the morning? Do they go to work out? Do they get enough sleep? And I only ask that. It might be personal questions, but I only ask that because I want to know that that person is making really strong decisions, really strong and great decisions that are coming from a place where they are grounded, where they have had sleep, where they actually know what they're talking about, right? Because depending on what you're doing, these could be really, really impactful decisions. And we want to make sure that you're making those decisions from the right place and that you have the habits in place to actually support those decisions. Now, if you have poor health habits, like if you don't eat in the morning, maybe if you don't exercise and move your body, you can often have poor habits, poor routines, and poor decision making, right? Because your body's sluggish, you're sleepy, and so you're not going to be at your best when you're not working out regularly, when you're not eating the right food. So when I talk about health, again, talk about health of the individual versus health of the actual organization. And the second thing is mindset. So for mindset, I like to really focus on people that have growth mindsets versus fixed mindsets, because with the growth mindset, you really believe that anything is possible. You believe that any obstacle is able to be overcome, that nothing is insurmountable. And so with a growth mindset, you can do more. And really the company's goal is to innovate, right? Like we want to continuously improve, because as we grow and as we change, other companies are growing and changing too. And so we want to be one of the most innovative companies maybe out there. And we want to be one of the best companies out there where we can go and serve people more, we can do more, we can be more for our communities and for the world. And to be able to do that, we have to have a mindset that supports that so we can make decisions to actually do that. So if we have people in our organizations that have fixed mindsets, then it's going to be a little bit harder to do that. Whether then we have people in our organizations that have a growth mindset where, okay, this is really possible. How can I do this? What skills do I need to acquire to become better so that I can actually get this done? The next thing is communication. Communication is huge. Now, with all these points, with these 5 points, you're going to see that you can use these in relationships, in your family, with your kids, and also in your business. Now, I use these primarily in my businesses, but I have used a lot of these at home as well. You can see how they kind of crisscross. And so for communication, huge, right? Huge in relationships, but huge in business. And what is business but relationships? So when I think about business, I don't think about transactions first. I think about the human being first. I think about the actual relationship with the human, with the client that I have to establish, that I want to establish, that I get to establish, so I can actually build that relationship, and then I can create a transaction off of that relationship, and actually many more transactions off of that relationship. And so if my communication isn't good, if I don't have good communication with my clients, if I don't have good communication with the employees that work with me, then ultimately those clients could leave, those employees could leave. So it's really important to, I would say to a point, to over communicate, but only over communicate when it adds value. I think anything more than that and over communication isn't worth it. If it doesn't add value to any kind of conversation, any kind of project, then maybe over communicate isn't worth it. But you want to make sure that you're clearly communicating and being concise on things that you're saying, especially when it has to do with clients and projects and things of that nature. So the next one is culture. So culture is huge. So I have a set of values and beliefs that I follow with my companies, and I have a set of values and beliefs that I follow at home. And those sets of values and beliefs are actually pretty much aligned with each other. So they really don't differ. So the values that I have at home are very similar or the same to the values that I carry with my company. And you as the CEO, you as the chief something, are really the chokehold on the growth of the company. So it's important when you're hiring people, when you're first starting out, you're the gatekeeper. So the gatekeeper being, okay, I'm going to hire you, I'm going to interview you, I'm going to ask you all these questions, and then, okay, if I think you're a good fit, I'm going to add you into this company. You're going to work with us. But ultimately, what happens is you get bigger, then you're not the gatekeeper anymore. Now you hire somebody else to be the gatekeeper, and now they hopefully hold your similar values and beliefs. And notice I said similar values and beliefs, not the same values and beliefs. I said similar, because people can have their own values and beliefs, but if they're not aligned to the values and beliefs of your organization, you're going to have what's called cultural shift. So what happens is, as a company gets bigger, and now they have to have somebody come in like HR, and they have to have that person actually be interviewed by someone else, we want to make sure that that someone else is similar in their values and beliefs as you, so they can ask those similar questions of that person. Now, when we talk about the interview, I usually spend about 15% on mechanical questions and 85% on, okay, who are you as a human being? Because you could teach skills. It's actually fun to teach skills. You can actually teach people how to do something, but sometimes to be a really great human being that wants to give, that wants to grow, that wants to impact, that has the growth mindset, sometimes that's a lot harder to teach. And sometimes you can't teach those traits. And so I want to focus in the interview process asking those probing questions, asking those really good questions that allow me to understand who this person is as a human being. And also asking them about their family. Like not being prying, not being probing to them, but just asking them enough so that I understand who they are as a family man or woman, to understand what they do on their spare time. Because really, who they are outside of the office is who they are in the office. Maybe they may put on a facade. Maybe it may be something like a mask, but ultimately that person is going to be the same person outside eventually as they are inside. And so you're going to see that same person come out at some point. So my point being that I would rather know who they are during the interview and ask them really intelligent questions and probing questions to understand their personality, rather than find out later, have invested a ton of money into the person and realize that they're not the right fit for the organization. So it's really important to have a person with similar values and beliefs. Notice I didn't say the same values and beliefs, because if you don't, you run the risk of having what I call cultural shift. And when you start to have cultural shift, your company can start to implode from the inside out. So again, it's really important, you as the gatekeeper, to be able to hire the people that have similar values and beliefs to you, to your organization, so they can continue to project those values and beliefs to others in the organization and ultimately to others in the community, because you want the community to see you as a leader that is going to shift and shape the world. So the next thing is leadership. So leadership is huge. So again, you being the CTO, CEO, leader in your organization, like you are the chokehold on your business. So you want to make sure also though, that you're hiring leaders in your organization so that they can take the reins and they can go ahead and they can project out leadership as well. And so again, a large part of this comes down to the interview process, where you are at first the gatekeeper, and then ultimately as you expand, you hire other gatekeepers to be able to interview those people with your set of similar values and beliefs. And so asking those fundamental questions to understand whether or not that person is leadership material is essential, because every company that's going to be innovative, that's going to grow, that's going to be a mover and shaker in whatever industry they're in, needs great leaders. We need great leaders. And so to be able to do that, again, in the interview process, I use an 85-15 rule, where 85% I ask really fundamental questions about who that person is, what they like to do with their spare time, what they've seen in their companies that need to change in the previous companies they've worked for, of course, without divulging, any other details that they might not want to divulge. But I do ask them different probing questions about, what they see that needs to change in the world, what they would like to do differently, what they would like to have done differently out there in the world, how they want to impact. That's huge, right? Understanding how they want to impact in this world and how they want to help their communities. So that's 85% of the interview. And then 15% is, well, I can see you've had, 5 or 6 years of schooling. I can see you've worked on these mathematical formulas. Are you able to solve this equation? Yes. Okay, great. Like those are the mechanical pieces for me. But like 85% of the interview really focuses on, is this person a really well-rounded, awesome human being? I can teach the rest. Okay, great. Good fit for the organization. Let's move forward. And so, so for these 5, use them in your family, use them in your life, use them in your business. but they've been essential for me. And ultimately, if you feel something going on in your organization, something's just not right, maybe a project's coming in over budget, maybe a project's coming in over time, maybe some of your employees are leaving, your retention rate is really just less than you would have thought, or your clients are actually leaving as well. Take a step back before you throw money at the problem and look internally to see if one of these 5 pieces, to see if something is wrong with one of these 5 pieces. Because if something is wrong with one of these 5 pieces, it's going to throw your entire foundation off. So one thing I tell different companies when I work with different companies is you need to look at these 5 pieces first before you go ahead and throw money and additional people at the problem, because that won't necessarily make it go away. It might be a band-aid for the problem, but it won't actually fix the root cause of the problem. And I can tell you most definitely the root cause of the problem is always health or mindset or communication or culture or some kind of leadership problem. So guys, I hope this video helped. I'm going to dive into these a little bit more as we go throughout this video series, but I hope this did help. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section. Please like this video if you got value from this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And until then, guys, I'll see you in the next video.